All right, good evening and welcome to Futbol En Vivo on Club Deportes Season 2, Episode 20. We air every week on clubdeportes.com. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Futbol Austin. That's Futbol Austin. Follow Club Deportes as well at Club Deportes for all the latest and greatest sports news and commentary. Well, you got to go to clubdeportes.com. I am your host, Eric McCoy, and I am joined by a man who, much like Greg Berhalter, is being reinstated to the same position he left just a short while ago. It's David Alvarez. Welcome back, David.
Wow. Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be back here in Futbol En Vivo and talk about Berhalter and all the saga he had to go through.
You went through a little less of a saga. You went on vacation to Chile, so I think you had a better time than Greg had during his absence.
Well, but there's a lot of developments, all over Austin, I would say.
Well, there's been a lot. David, a lot has happened since we last spoke. So I think we have a very lively show this week. Real quick, before we start, I have to ask you got a Santiago Wanderers hat on, and I noticed 5 stars are on that hat. Now, usually stars, those are a sign of championships won. Now, from our prior conversations, David, I don't think Santiago Wanderers have 5 championships to their name. So what do those 5 stars represent? Just a fashion statement there? What's going on?
They had to see the Wanderers is a team from 1896, right? So during World War II, there were regional tournaments. So Wanderers did not participate in the Valparaiso region. And Santiago, that was another region. So I guess they didn't want to travel so much in World War II. But that happened. They won a local tournament, right? 1941 and 1942. I don't know how, but they weren't national. They were actually local tournaments, right? But, the only ones that they were really won on the field was 1958, 1968, the year I was born, and 2001. And so that we happened, that 2001 was pretty big for me, and then we played Copa Libertadores and we played Boca.
Okay, and what do you got on there? Now, what shirt do you have on?
Yeah, I had one of the Boca Juniors. Yeah, Boca Juniors, very nice jersey. I have a lot of love for Boca too, and it was been a dream of mine to go to La Bombonera one day,
Mine too, man.
Feel the game in there.
Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely on my football bucket list there. Okay, David, as much as I love to talk Santiago Wanderers all night with you, we got to talk a little Austin FC, man. A lot has been going on. Okay, most recently, though, a 1-1 draw away to the last place team in the Eastern Conference, Inter Miami. Inter Miami that, it should be noted, had lost 7 straight MLS matches prior to this 1-1 draw this past Saturday. David, a point on the road is usually considered a good result in Major League Soccer. So we should be happy with this result, right? Or maybe not. How do you see it?
I mean, what do you think about we know what happened. What are the numbers? What are the numbers of the game?
Well, the numbers are pretty reading for Austin FC. The numbers say Austin FC might be lucky to have gotten a point from this match.
That's right. How many shots on goal? I believe 9, and 4 of them were saved by Stuber.
Yes, so Inter Miami had 9 shots on goal, 18 shots total. Austin FC, 12 shots, just 4 shots on goal. If you want to look at the expected goals, Austin FC just 0.73, Inter Miami 1.76. So, yeah, definitely a match where I think it's fair to say, Austin FC were lucky. Jerry, if we could actually just get the starting 11, I think there's some interesting topics of conversation there. We'll go over the starting 11, then we'll get to the highlights in just a second. But this starting 11, David, you were in Chile, so I don't know if you saw. I don't know if your MLS season pass was up and running. But this starting 11 that produced 6 points last week against a couple of heated Texas rivals. Is it fair to say this starting 11 right here is Austin FC's best starting 11. I guess you did have Radovanovic in there instead of Ring, but otherwise that was
exactly. That's exactly it. That's the big, you name it, right? That's a big difference. But yeah, I mean, that's the one. As long as I left. Remember the days I left? We were talking about we needed to sit down some players, and it's not nice. It's nice not to see those players.
Is there a player in particular that you have in mind right now, David?
Oh, just the one that weren't like producing,
Gotcha.
I mean, you know what I mean.
I think I do. I think I do, and I want to have a specific conversation regarding that player in just a moment. But yeah, for me, I think that is the best starting 11 that Austin FC can roll out right now. I was a big fan of the 3-4-3 formation for a while Drusy was out. But they've gone back to this kind of 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2 thing, and I think it's working quite well. I think it is working quite well, despite them not getting the desired result against Inter Miami. Jerry, if we can go ahead and roll the highlights here and take a look at just what transpired on Saturday night.
So yeah, that was exciting to see. I mean,
no Messi yet, David. No Messi yet.
No Tata Martino. No Messi. Where's the Copa America Giants? I mean. They were together in Argentina and in Barcelona. So Tata Martino, they will be together pretty soon.
Yes, also Tata reuniting with Joseph Martinez as well, who he had quite a bit of success with at Atlanta United.
Exactly. I mean, what about? I mean, and I don't know. Campana was the captain for Miami in the second half because he missed. He's the Ecuadorian national, right? But I gotta tell you, that was so close.
This is an incredible ball from Danny Pereira right here, right?
Pereira, he gave a great pass, and it was really hard to make that goal for Cascante, but he did try. He got the angle. It reminded me a goal of in Brazil World Cup, I think, one time, but that was made. But in this case, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful pass, and I mean, definitely Cascante is. It's in the call for being in play for Costa Rica, at least,
I would think so. I mean, yeah, so unlucky there for that to go off the inside of the post and not get a goal out of that. Very unlucky.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, though, Miami has so many chances. And this was a one-on-one that I think that was Joseph Martinez's big error because you have the open leg of Stuver and you just give it to the side. He was very indecisive about what to do. He tried to put it on the side, but we got lucky that he didn't know what to do.
David, no love for Stuver on that save. You're gonna put the blame all on Joseph.
I mean, Stuver did what he has to do. He covered the side, but he left his open leg, totally open legs. That's what I would have done it. Put it between the legs. That's
so a clinical striker like David Alvarez finishes that chance, but Joseph Martinez not up to the task apparently.
I mean, it's case by case, solution. But in this case, Joseph Martinez controlled the ball like nobody could. Like he controlled the ball. The ball did not bounce out of his body. He kept the cool and he just put it right on the side, on the left side of Stuver. Nothing the Stuver can do for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. That
103rd goal by Martinez on the MLS.
Yes, that prior miss aside, I think Joseph Martinez looked pretty close to being back at his best in this match. He was a pest for Austin FC to deal with all match, I think it's fair to say.
But it's interesting to see all the lineup that a pretty lot of forwards that Inter Miami has, because you have the Campana and then you have the Chilean kid that, the Chilean American that did not play for Chile very long, Robinson.
That's right. Yes. Robinson. And he I think he had a pretty good match. He was a little wasteful in the final third, but he was a threat all night, coming up and down the wing.
It is. Just sadly that he didn't adapt with the Chilean national team when he was called, not like Berton Diaz, right? Berton Diaz. So now Berton Diaz is a hero.
I don't know if while you were in Chile, the U.S. men's national team, they're Nations League champions. Like that's the place to be. If you can pick between Chile and the U.S., you go with the U.S. right now.
For the winning percentage, for sure. I like teams that are winning consistently.
We know you like a winner.
And the U.S. has been winning consistently without the former coach.
And speaking of winning, Duffy, this is a winning strike right here from Nick Lima, right? I mean, this is just sensational stuff.
Well, you got to give all credit, though, 50% of the credit to Drusy. He made that cut, and he put it in. And I think it was a handball, was an actual handball, the bounce that Lima got.
You
but
think
Lima,
so?
Lima got it. I thought it was a handball. But you look at it, should like Drusy hit the ball, boom, he bounced it not very far away, and then Nick Lima was right there, and his definition was perfect. He put it right in the corner. Like the goalie had no chance. It was a great definition, and it culminated a great season for him. I mean, he has been one of the most stable players for Austin FC.
Oh, absolutely.
And how many assists did he have already? How many assists? 10 assists, right? How many good throw-ins he had that were very dangerous. So it's been the best. I think it's culmination of a great season for him. There's Campana there, but not much he could do.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, Nick Lima, is he Austin FC's most underrated player right now?
I mean, definitely. I mean, every time I see him, he is like, he's not solid all the time. And the defense sometimes is slower. We're kind of slow, but, it's not all his responsibility. But when he comes up front, when he goes to the final third, he's lethal. He's lethal. His assistance, and now his goal. So
yeah, absolutely. The long throws, as you mentioned, I think those are such a dangerous weapon for this Austin FC team. And then his crossing ability, as he gets into that kind of that right half space and just sends those crosses into the far post. So good at that. Yeah, Nick Lima, that first ever Austin FC goal. This goal, so really wonderful.
Yeah, we need more of all the people. Everybody needs to score the first goal for Austin FC.
Hey, we need all the hey. Bergoni's already got his first Austin FC goal, though. I mean, if that's who you're taking a shot at, he's already got his. The seal's been broke. But okay, I want to talk a few things about this match here, David. So post-match, Josh Wolf seemed pretty frustrated by the point. He did not seem happy. I think he was viewing this match as 2 points lost as opposed to 1 point gained. However, if you look at the substitutions, I think he was a little conservative in this match. If you look at the substitutions, okay, I want to highlight specifically the two subs that took place in the 63rd minute. We saw Futbol En Vivo favorite Emiliano Rigoni come on for Diego Fagundes, and then we saw Adam Lundqvist come on for Ethan Finlay. So that's bringing on a defender for an attacker. And essentially we saw Austin FC revert back to that 3-4-3 formation, essentially playing with 5 defenders across that back line. And yeah, I mean, the wingbacks struggled to get forward after that substitution. And I think it really, a match that was kind of helter-skelter, kind of going back and forth, really kind of killed the attacking momentum from Austin FC. Is that how you saw those substitutions, David?
Well, I feel a lot of things about, like the game. And in the second half, I mean, Inter went with everything they could, They tried to use every weapon possible.
Do you think they played well in this match, Inter Miami? Because they didn't look like the worst team in the East to me. I thought they actually looked
they
all right.
They didn't. I mean, you see all the players they have there. That's not like, hey, Justin Martinez, Campana. You have more.
Pizarro, I thought, had a really nice
Pizarro,
match.
Robinson. It's like a quality team. But seems like the back line is the biggest issue there for them.
Yeah, for sure.
But with Messi coming in the middle and Busquets, everything will be solved. Plus Martata Martino.
Okay, I want to get. I actually want to have a little bit of a discussion on Inter Miami because this is our chance to kind of break them down with the big news, obviously, of Messi's arrival. But first, specifically for Austin FC, not only did you have this substitution that I think kind of suggested Wolf was playing a little conservatively, bringing on the extra defender. I think it's worth noting that whenever the fourth official showed plus 9 minutes of stoppage time, so 1-1 match plus 9 minutes of stoppage time, Wolf and Davy Arnaud, the Austin FC assistant coach, were furious. I mean, absolutely furious. You could see Josh Wolf going, what for, in regards to the plus 9 added. So that if you're fighting for a win, wouldn't you be happy to see the plus 9? Like, why are you so upset then if you really want to get the 3 points in this match?
I mean, I guess I don't. I mean, there's a lot of things to say. I think I could say about that situation because, I mean, honestly, I don't think Austin's deserve more than they got. I mean, we just got lucky with that couple. It was just like undeserved tie overall. And you say like the classic 4-3-3 is what we need to get back to it. And it's like something that, it's like if we are able to do it, the best defense is the attack, no matter what. And so if you need to make the substitution, you're always going to make an attacking substitution for an attacking substitution. You're not going to make any defensive move, right? That's the entire goal of the theory of the 4-3-3. And I think some other coaches might agree that that's the goal, especially, when I grew up with Bielsa, qualifying. So
You're back, man. Bring it up, Marcelo Bielsa. David Alvarez is back. I love it.
Yeah, it's my. He's
a rival now. He's at Uruguay.
It's the Uruguay. He got Uruguay now, and look at how he's doing Uruguay right now without even Uruguay winning the World Cup under 20. So look at the roster that he already has.
Yeah, they're going to be a team to watch going forward for sure.
Oh my goodness! You see, and all the. Europe League, do you have even Colombia is so hardcore now. You see what happened with Germany and Colombia?
I missed that, David. I've been so focused on Austin FC these days. I haven't been able to follow the international game.
That was it. And Ghana beat Brazil handily.
Wow, so a lot of interesting results.
In Brazil.
So I thought you were just vacationing. You've been apparently just going all in on watching football. That's what I like to hear. I'm happy for that, David.
I watched the games that I could. Many were closed circuit. I couldn't pay for them, so I couldn't get those one. I couldn't get one Chile-Cuba. I got Chile-Dominican Republic.
So even in Chile, you couldn't watch the Chile match?
Wow. Yeah, because they had to be in a higher tier of pay cable. They still use cable a lot there.
Gotcha.
And, but yeah, it was just. But overall, I didn't have a chance to go to the games. But I watched them and I have some highlights. I heard that Brazil-Ghana game was pretty close, and Brazil still doesn't have a coach.
Hey. Okay, so let's keep. I'm glad you were doing your homework down there in Chile, David. But let's keep focused on.
Let's go back to Austin FC.
Let's keep focused on Austin FC. I hope your MLS season pass was humming along wonderfully. So I got some questions for you. So, in your absence, a certain player has found his way to Austin FC's bench. Previously it seemed like nothing this player could do. No matter how poorly he played, could he find himself on the bench? Of course, I'm talking about Emiliano Rigoni.
Yes.
So, bench last week. Ethan Finley, his replacement, comes in, scores 2 goals, adds an assist as well against FC Dallas and Houston Dynamo. Just, I think, really sensational in both of those matches, Ethan Finley.
And Zardes has come up with 5 goals, I believe.
Yeah, we're going to get to Zardes in a second here, but let's keep our attention focused on, again, Futbol En Vivo's favorite man, Emiliano Rigoni. So he came off the bench in this match as a substitute, as I said earlier in the 63rd minute. To me, he failed to do much of anything as a substitute in this match. I'm just curious where you see Rigoni's role for the rest of this season. I find it hard, even though Finley didn't have his best match against Miami, I find it hard to imagine you could bench Finley in favor of Rigoni going forward. And I don't really see Rigoni as even much of a super sub. How do you see his role for the remainder of the season?
Well, since we've been friends with everybody in Futbol En Vivo, and for a while we've been talking about Emiliano Rigoni since he came in and why he came in and what he has been doing.
1 goal in 30 appearances, David.
1 goal and one assist.
I think he might have 2 assists.
But one was now in the MLS. One was there.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, the numbers don't lie. I mean, those two numbers just to say everything, right? So, and also you add that the numbers of how many games did he play and how effective was him in the field when we play as a starter or he didn't play at all. And so you make the comparisons, and then you see the results. There's not much to think about it, right? So it is kind of obvious, but yeah, Rigoni should take a serious look at his career, right? And then different
you should get a little introspective here.
I mean, he has the technical abilities, right? We said it all along, but he never really got into the team. Maybe really, and it took the responsibility and took the chances, and it never hit the ball really hard. You know,
Masitas, right?
Masitas, that's it. Masitas, only Masitas. So.
Now, last week's show, I'd be curious to get your thoughts on this. Last week's show, I kind of broke down just the stylistic differences between him and Ethan Finley, and how Ethan Finley seems much more like, you know, a system player, a player that knows this system well and does what the system asks of the right winger. Whereas Emiliano Rigoni, for all the technical skill that I genuinely, like you, think he does have.
He can play with both legs. I mean, very few players can do that have that ability to play with both legs like he does.
But he does. I mean, this is a pretty synchronized system, though, a positional play system that Wolf deploys. And if your movements aren't sharp in relation to what your teammates are doing, you just really struggle to find success in the system. I think Finley has the system down, whereas Rigoni, he's more of a soloist, an individualist type of player. So I just don't think he fits. I just don't think he's a good fit for this.
No. It doesn't fit, and then I think it's something like the time has proven. Like the games have been more than, and the fact that it's a substitute, and the way what contribution does he have as a substitute, right? So you're still questioning a little bit beyond that. But I think I don't want to say so many things about him because there's other players like Rodney Redes too that I would like to see him score a goal. So it's not only him, but. There's a lot of things that there happen so many things that I don't even know what to say. But the main thing for me is like we can talk about all the errors and everything that our team has done right and wrong, because there's a lot of right things happening right now. Like we couldn't believe it, right? And on top of everything, we have a new sporting director.
We do. Do you want to have that conversation now, David? Let's go ahead and get it. Rodolfo Borrell has been named Austin FC. Rodolfo Borrell has been named Austin FC sporting director, and of course, as you see right there, guy's got some pretty important friends there. I'm going to pull some facts from Borrell. This is coming from an article by Phil West in The Striker. There from 1995 to 2009, so that's pretty big names came through. Of course,
with a big success there.
Yeah,
and La Masia with a big success. And he moved. Where did he move?
So right after that, I actually didn't know this about him. I knew he was with Manchester City, knew he had the connection with Barcelona. But right after Barcelona, he actually went to Liverpool
with Benitez.
Well, yeah,
Rafa Benitez.
Yeah, with Rafa Benitez, and he was the academy technical director, and he actually oversaw the development of Raheem Sterling and Trent Alexander-Arnold. So some pretty big names there as well. And then after that, in 2014, he joined Manchester City as the global technical director. So pretty important title there. And then in 2016, he of course became a first team assistant to Pep Guardiola. So, I mean, this is a pretty impressive resume. I mean, the only thing, and I've seen a few people bring this up, the only thing you could maybe just flag as a slight concern, I mean, has not worked as a sporting director before, so hasn't actually, gone out and done the transfer work, things of that nature that he will be asked to do, of course, now with Austin FC. Is that a concern to you at all, David, or is it just all 100%? We should just be happy and not have any reservations at all about this?
I mean, overall, there's not much reservation, other than he hasn't coached a real first team, Premier. I think he was back to teaching. I'm thinking backup, but he never teach a full team, right? That's another little concern that I have. But other than that, that resume tell you everything. And the fact when we hear the interview, why did he chose to be in Austin? I mean, he just developed all the, they had the relationship already with Precourt, and seems like there was a relationship.
About the fans. He talked about the fans. He couldn't wait to come and be a part of this incredible fan culture that we have here at Austin FC.
That's exactly what
you always bring up the fans. He's kindred spirits there, right?
Yeah, you read my mind. That's exactly, and the way he said it is like it's second to none. Like the support Austin FC's people feel, and that was a big part of his decision. And probably the most important part of his decision was how much the fan base, matters, and things that can be done with it too. So that's why for me it was like a key. And then when he said that he needs to work with George Wolf, of course, it's going to be a very similar kind of, they have a kind of that Macia mentality. I think you can see it in Wolf, the fact that he wants to control most of the games, like keep control of the ball most of the time.
You said Wolf has the La Masia mentality? Is this some praise for Josh Wolf, David? I'm just trying to make sure I'm hearing myself correctly.
No, but you're not. I mean,
what did you do in Chile? You completely changed, man. What's happened to you?
I'm talking about the 4-3-3. I'm talking about just basically the 4-3-3 that we're coming back, and the fact that we want to control the ball, keep control of the ball, like La Masia.
Similar, principles of play.
The difference is in the shooting percentage and the accuracy of this. That's, I think, where he's going to have all the help from Borrell. And I think the fact that he's from not only La Masia, but he's a Catalonian, he's from Barcelona, right? Mm-hmm. He's a Barcelona product, so
he's got the DNA. It's in his bones.
It's a DNA, and I think the way he was talking, I think it's a huge challenge. Imagine to have a challenge. You have been working with the biggest team in the world, Barcelona, Liverpool, and then Manchester City, and then you win the treble, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and then the other coach now, I think Pepe went to Leicester City. So two assistant coach for Pep Guardiola are moving on. So that tells you that the school is there, and I think we're going to have a good teacher, a good professor here at Austin FC. I'm excited.
Absolutely. I am 100% agree with everything you said there, David. I think this is a really outstanding hire. I'm not too concerned with the lack of sporting director experience. I think one of the keys to this is that Sean Rubio is actually going to be staying on it's kind of an advisory role. He's going to work pretty close tandem to Borrell, and Rubio's got a ton of experience, obviously within this league. I think sometimes MLS, if you follow this league, I think you're aware there's some very just Byzantine financial rules that govern the league, very confusing rules. There's a salary cap, designated players, there's TAM, GAM, all sorts of terms like that. I follow this league regularly. I couldn't explain a lot of that stuff, at least not in any kind of significant detail. But I think having someone like Rubio on board to work with him and kind of, guide him through some of the more complicated aspects of MLS financial rules, I think that is key. Yeah. I remember in the Grant Wall's book, The Beckham Experiment, there's a really interesting section where Alexi Lalas, he's the GM of the LA Galaxy, and they bring in Ruud Gullit to be the coach. Ruud Gullit, I mean, he's an icon in the sport. And Gullit gave Lalas just a list of all the players that he wanted Lalas to go get, and Lalas is like, yeah, we can't just do that here. There's a salary cap. We can't just get whatever player you want. And Gullit, he had a really hard time grasping that concept. I don't think that's going to be an issue with Borrell. A, there's Rubio. And B, he was global technical director at City. And City, if you're aware, I mean, they have clubs all over the world, including NYCFC in Major League Soccer. So I think Borrell should at least be aware that MLS, it's not as simple as you just go out and get whatever player you want. So in that respect, I'm not too concerned about that.
Yeah, but I think the way he was talking in the interview with Austin FC, I mean, he's pretty well aware. I mean, he's been following the MLS and he's been following Austin FC. Um, and I think he's well aware of that. And but I think the main thing that he has been a coach for all those under 16, under 17, under 19. So every single one of the academy, he has been a coach, right? Or an advisor of that matter. So it makes me feel like we are in good hands, like that we are in a really good hands, and somebody that can really, bring all that knowledge and the winning mentalities.
Absolutely. Right? Here's what I'm excited about. Okay, Austin FC, I think they have done a really good job of finding players within MLS that have worked. I think a guy like Nick Lima that we just talked about, Diego Fagundes, Alex Ring, John Gallagher, Ethan Finley, players like that. They've done a good job of finding value in MLS. But when they've gone and signed players from outside of MLS, it's been pretty hit or miss. Obviously, Driussi, that's worked. They seem to have their Scandinavian center backs down with Gabrielson and Weissman. Those have been good signings. But hey, they've missed on Redis. They've missed on Rigoni. They've missed on Gite.
Pochettino,
Cecilio. I mean, the players like that. So there's been some swings and misses.
Yeah,
I think bringing on someone like Borrell, who has this international pedigree. I mean, as global technical director, at Manchester City. I mean, you're looking at players from all over the world. And so, to kind of tap into that global knowledge, I think it is so key and can hopefully help Austin FC get a higher hit rate on their signings from beyond MLS.
Yeah, and definitely that. And the other thing I see from outside is the viewership. Like a lot of my neighbors complain they would like to follow the Austin FC and they are unable to because of other problems with technology.
Are you taking a shot at Apple?
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, how hard it is for so many people that would be watching all the games if they could. Right?
Well, I don't disagree with you. That I didn't know you were going to take that left turn there, David. But yeah, I do agree. It's
I was walking down the street and I asked him, "Hey, you have a show today?" "Oh yeah, I would love to tell you about it, but I don't know much because I don't have Apple TV."
Hey, we're on YouTube, free to air. Futbol En Vivo. We don't make you sign up. You can watch us for free. We're for the people, by the people, for the people.
Yeah, we need to be in Futbol En Vivo, and I heard we need to be in Futbol En Vivo and Instagram and Vivo. You can do it. I think it's possible. I don't know. That's
we'll
what
have to
I
check with our IT experts here at Deportes. Now, I do want to point out because we received a there it is, that lovely Apple logo. Just so fond of that right there. I do want to make sure we get in the thoughts of Jorge Chavez. At some point, all three of us are going to be on a show together. I can promise you, dear viewers, we will all be together again soon. But Jorge, unfortunately, couldn't be with us this week. But he's very excited, like us, David, about this hiring of Rodolfo Borrell. And he specifically told us that it bodes well for guys like Owen Wolff, Danny Pereira, Kip Keller, the young academy and Austin FC2 players. And he's obviously alluding to the track record that Borrell has with, La Masia at Liverpool and developing those younger players. He also brings up, and I think this is interesting, you were kind of alluding to this earlier, David, but it helps Josh Wolff because now he has a mentor. He has someone that has worked, in close tandem with Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
So I've heard a few things. A lot of times when a new sporting director comes into a team, David, they want to choose their own coach. Now, Austin FC, of course, I think they Wolff first and then Gio Reyna previously. So there is some, I guess, track record with Austin FC as far as, establishing Wolff as the coach and then naming the sporting director to kind of fit Wolff's vision.
I mean, it's just not much you can do with history. You have to remember Berhalter and the crew, Reynas. They were all friends at the youth.
They were friends. I don't know if they're friends anymore.
Groups, so it's hard to deal with that. Then Wolff became Berhalter's assistant, right? At the time where Mr. Preaker owned Columbus too. So we have all this interaction and the history, that is hard to, not to take into account, So that's why I think give me a different perspective when I see how there's been a group and they know they met Borrell because of that, right? So
yes. Now you were like the OG Wolf Out. You were Wolf Out before Wolf Out was cool. So do you think that you were the first one? Way back on Co-op Radio, you were the first one, man, for Wolf. Yeah. Look, there he is, right there. He's a fan of us. He seems to watch the show based on the press conferences.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So do you think that this hiring, Borrell, you don't think that this could potentially be something that leads to Wolf Out? Again, the idea of a sport director wanting to choose his own coach.
I mean, I think it's a great opportunity. As I say before, it's like he's been part of the team for a long time, 3 years. Of course, the first year because of the numbers, simply I did not want to have him. Right? I saw the numbers did not add up.
Where's your winning percentage? You always bring the winning
37 points, 37%.
Okay.
37. It's 37.1 with the last 2 wins before he went up. So he's above our friend from Minnesota. He's just at 36%.
You referring to friend of the show, Adrian Heath?
Adrian Heath got to 36% this time around. He had better percentage with Austin Aztec. Tell you the truth, 63%. But that's a different story. But yeah, definitely, I think Wolf is. I think it's great to have this coming up because I think, as I say, there's another opportunity, and the important thing is like. What the numbers again? You have to look at the numbers. Keep looking at the number. What do we do? I want to qualify for the U.S. Cup. What are our
That's
goals?
Wolf looking at the numbers right there.
Yeah,
that is him looking at the numbers.
So get the numbers and have goals, and try to how far we're gonna get there. If we cannot go that far, then we need to rethink the plan. That's my point of view. But I think it's a great chance for to have a great team right now.
Yeah, no, I think in many ways, I think, someone like Borrell, I think he is chosen because, in many ways, Pep Guardiola, positional play, Wolf, positional play. In some respects, this is a hire that I think Borrell is someone like you alluded to, David, that actually has a similar, idea, game model as far as how the sport should be played as Wolf. So in many ways, you're kind of choosing a sporting director that aligns with your coach's ultimate vision of how the sport, how he wants the sport to be played.
So one of the things I was going to say about, little my criticism over Wolf is that, and we always talk about it, is the substitutions. But the substitution
we have discussed that on this very show.
So that's one of the parts that's so important that I think he can definitely grew with Borrell here, I think, because that's the key. When you know that you're making, Sampaoli makes a substitution for Flamengo now, it's gonna be for the win. So when those coaches that they made the substitution, the correct substitution, and most of the time it's not to keep the score, but to score another goal. I mean, that's the way I think.
The best defense is a good attack, right, David?
That's it. The best defense is the attack.
Yeah. Okay, so
you keep the other. You need to keep the other team thinking, right? Guessing.
I agree. You want to keep them on their heels and guessing.
And you be super physical too. Like the teams, like Manchester City, they're so fit. This guy can play for hours and hours. So that's what we need. I think we got what it takes. Hopefully, Austin FC.
Okay, this is, I think, some of the best news that this team has had all season for sure. Been a little disappointing season overall, but this is reason to definitely look. The future looks bright, 100%. Okay, so that was the big news in Austin FC land over the past few days. There was some other news that just came out today. Austin FC, they have loaned Musa Jite to a Turkish second division team, Banda Maspor. I really butchered that.
The Turkish league, yeah.
There it is. Jorge's got the picture up. If you don't believe me, there it is. What do you think about this, David? Is this? I have a hard time really kind of wrapping my head around this one. It's a loan deal, so he's going out on loan. Is this just kind of kicking the can down the road until you can find someone to ultimately, buy Gite? You can kind of sell him on, or do you think Gite actually has some kind of future down the road with the first team here at Austin FC?
No, I don't think so. No, but definitely, I think.
I really feel that.
The decision has a lot to do with Gite's family too, and the fact that they're going to be playing in a higher tier Turkish Super League than it is the MLS. I mean,
well, he's going to the second division in Turkey. He's not going to. This is a team in the Turkish second division, so he's not in the Turkish. Super League.
It doesn't. I mean, even better. Even better, so you don't have to be like
second division better than the first.
No, it's better because you have to have the drive to be playing. Like in here, like people, like some players don't. Hey, we're not going down.
Well, yeah, his last loan move was to a French first division team, and he didn't play. So going to maybe the second division, he might actually.
But the bottom line, he has 5 goals and 2 assists, 5 goals and 3 assists, and 30 games, I think, something like that. Gite had. So yeah, I mean.
Yeah, and it does seem, because of family reasons, it seems like he would rather be on that side of the Atlantic. So if that's what's best for him as far as his family goes, then 100% that's what needs to happen. He is a player though that I don't know. I think there's talent there. I know we've only seen it in just brief, fleeting glimpses. But think about the Austin FC, the clinching of their first ever playoff berth. Who saved them? A Moussa Gite hat trick off the bench.
Off the bench. No, that's just a glorious moment, It's like,
it was incredible moment. My favorite moment from last season was that moment, and hearing his story in the post-match press conference. It was just a real tearjerker there, and I was just so happy for him. And he was outstanding against FC Dallas in the playoffs as well.
Yeah.
So and he's still very young. So again, I think for families,
and he's still very young and a very impressive player. I mean, it's somebody that, as I say, I love to have big, giant players, that kind of scare anybody, and I think he would have been somebody that I would put in the field most of the time, or at least coming off the bench, and make sure everybody gets tired. But somehow I didn't see him fit. Many times, I didn't think he could last 90 minutes, right? I think that was a concern that I would have a little bit with him.
I think you might be right about that. Yeah, it did seem like it took him a long time to actually finally make his first team debut, and I think fitness played a role in that. And even once he got going, did sometimes seem to struggle to give you a full 90 for sure.
And the chemistry of the team, that's something with the coach, with the friend. I mean, there's so many things going on in the locker room, right? That the coaches have to deal with it, and it is rough. It's a rough environment. It's very stressful.
Oh yeah, it is professional soccer, man. It's not for the faint of heart. Okay, so there's other big news though with Austin FC over these past few days. Austin FC have an all-star, and his name is John Gallagher. John Gallagher named one of 26 MLS players to the MLS All-Star roster. MLS All-Star game, of course, coming up on Wednesday, July 19th in Washington, D.C. MLS All-Stars will be taking on Arsenal. Kai Havertz, his new team. So John Gallagher, is he deserving of this All-Star
of course.
Spot right here?
No doubt about it. We talk about how Lima deserved it on one side, and then the other side, Gallagher is always.
The fullbacks are great. The fullbacks obviously don't have an issue there, right?
Yeah, both of them, and especially Gallagher, that is actually a false 9, right? There's somebody that's gonna score when he gets the chance. He's gonna put it in.
Got 5 goals. Got 5 goals this season. So tied for Austin FC's lead.
And what a golazos! Most of them were beautiful goals, like
some bangers. Absolutely. Oh, look at that! There he is. So the Irishman, John Gallagher.
And he always looked for this moment to be in the MLS All-Star. I think he mentioned that not long ago. So it's something somebody that worked for it.
One thing to keep in mind, and when you think about All-Stars in other sports, like Major League Baseball, you have the 2 leagues play each other. So you have the best players from the National League, best players from the American League. NBA, the best players from the Western Conference, best players from the Eastern Conference. MLS, because of the format of the All-Star game, it's the MLS All-Stars against Arsenal. So you only have one team essentially of all-stars, and so instead of two. And so, yeah, that makes it that much harder to actually get named as an all-star. Do you like that format, David, where you have the best players in MLS taking on one of a top team from Europe? Do you like that format, or would you like to see a more traditional East versus West?
I tell you the truth, I love it. I love the format.
You love it.
Okay. I love it. That's my favorite because it's like, come on, man. Just the fact that we're doing an all-star event, it's just not soccer for me. It's like.
This is not something in South America, in Europe. You don't see this.
You don't do this stuff.
So if you're gonna do it, just go all out and bring over Arsenal, bring over Real Madrid.
Has to do that.
Chelsea's played in it before.
Most teams don't have college players. Most teams in the world don't have college players like in the U.S. Where you have college player that?
Well, okay, that actually brings me to something I want to ask you about, David, because Austin FC, they have a player that came from college here in the U.S., Danny Pereira, and he is playing, I think, sensationally right now. He's playing so well that there's actually been rumors that there might be some teams from abroad that might be interested in signing Danny Pereira. And Wolf has had to say, if you want him, you're going to have to pay a high price. So Wolf has thrown that out there.
But I think even little Wolf is invited.
Wolfito, yes, that is correct. He's, I think, starting to pick up some interest as well. But specifically, Danny Pereira, where do you think his level is? Like, if he were to leave Austin FC and say go to Europe, like, what kind of league do you think would be a good fit for him?
I mean, definitely the Dutch league.
That's exactly what I would think. Yeah. I don't know. He's just 22, so he could potentially down the road maybe go a little bit beyond that. I don't necessarily see him ever being at. I think
Josh Wolf went to Germany, or if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you are correct, David. You've been to his Wikipedia page a bunch, so you should know kind of the ins and outs of his career. But yeah, I think the Eredivisie, a great league for developing talent. He's just 22, so I could see him making a move to that league, and then potentially, I don't think he'll ever end up at like a Real Madrid, Manchester United. I don't think that's his level.
But I think the best thing that happened to him, it was named for the Venezuelan national team, which is a very hard spot to be in.
I'll tell you what, him and Wolfito, because Wolfito was just on the U20 US team, and those two guys have come back with some swagger. I mean, they've been playing with confidence.
Yes,
those two in Austin FC's midfield right now. I mean, maybe in the Inter Miami game, maybe not the best example, but in general, particularly the previous week against Dallas and Houston, I mean, those guys were just bossing it in the midfield, and I think Austin FC have a lot to look forward to in regards to their midfield. Yeah,
the thing is that the problem we're going to have with what's going to happen with Ring there. It's like and also I don't know. I'm getting out of the line, but I forgot that on Wednesday I think is the period for signing players for the last.
The transfer window is opening back up. So yeah, and we've got a sporting director now, so it's going to be very interesting. I mean, what do you think the priority should be, David? I think most are suggesting center back, and that would make sense. You think two center backs, two
center backs, yeah, okay, two center backs. Just one get hurt. We need two center backs. Definitely.
They have a tendency to get hurt, it seems like.
And a 9.
A 9?
Yeah.
So Zardes, you don't think he's?
No. But we need some company.
We got a Rudy.
Huh?
You got a Rudy. That's not between Zardes and Rudy and Will Bruin. You got three strikers right there.
I mean, I want to know always if you want to have a 4-3-3 formation. If you want to have it. You got to have as many strikers as Inter Miami has and will have pretty soon. You know what I mean? It's like you need to have more of a power because you see how inconsistent was at some point when we have some sort of combinations in the field. So we need to find a chemistry, but the chemistry needs to, the more the better. The more eggs, are on the canasta.
Well, I can't disagree that the more the merrier, but I don't know. You get those center backs in first, and then.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I'll tell you what. The other thing
That's a priority.
I think the other priority is not just bringing in center backs, but I think it should be to move on Rigoni. I think you should be looking to get rid of him this transfer window because I don't think it's going to work out. We've seen enough evidence. You need to do – I mean, they were able to move on from Pochettino relatively quickly for different reasons, but able to move on from Cecilio pretty quickly. So this is an opportunity. It's not working. Free up that DP spot and let Borrell get to work bringing in another DP to complement Driussi.
Oh,
that's what I think needs to happen.
I mean, yeah. And again, when we don't know what's going to happen with the ring.
From what I understand, it doesn't seem he's not particularly likely to resign. So this very well could be his last Austin FC season. Yeah, you keep the two on the ends there, but the guy in the middle, I think, time for you to leave, man. You've overstayed your welcome. Okay, so we've got just about 8 minutes left here, David. And I want to get into a little Inter Miami talk. Austin FC just played Inter Miami, so it's an excuse to talk Miami, talk Messi, talk Busquets now. Busquets will be arriving as well. This team, David, they are dead last in the MLS's Eastern Conference. I believe 10 points off the 9th and final playoff spot. Considering the big names, Messi coming in, Busquets coming in, Tata Martino coming in, I mean, what should the expectations be for this team for the remainder of the season?
Well, it's a bit what I think the stars are aligned. You know, you have Tata Martino, you have Jose Martinez.
Can they make it? Can they make it?
Messi is there, Busquets. They're gonna. I mean, I think they only need to. We need to compete for those two back defenders or something. I mean, they need to find something in the back. Maybe. Probably the goalie too situation.
Okay, I want to ask you something here, David, because I was actually thinking of there's a book that's really good. It's called The Numbers Game, and it is by Chris Anderson and David Sally. And they break down just a lot. You're a numbers guy, and this is a book for you, David, because they go into a lot of different numbers behind the sport we love, football. And one of the things they bring up in this book is they talk about strong link sports and weak link sports. And they define a strong link sport as a sport where if you have the best player, you usually win. And they said basketball is a strong link sport. And if you think about it, yeah, I mean, like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, like their teams usually win. You have the best player, you're usually capable of winning. They said soccer is a weak link sport, and they define weak link sports as the team that doesn't have the worst player. That's the team that wins. And I think it's going to be fascinating. You're taking the best player in the world and putting him on a last place team, and do those players, those defenders, goalkeeper that you highlighted as being weak links on this Inter Miami team, are they going to undo all of the positives that Messi can bring? What do you think about that, David?
I mean, there's so many things in there. You know, you can think about PSG, you know, trying to get the best players in the world.
You had Messi, Neymar, Mbappe. You had some weak links. You never saw a Champions League trophy.
That's right. All the money can buy. I mean, that theory somehow is true. I mean, some teams, I think, you think about the Real Madrid, the Galacticos, you know. At some
they
point,
didn't win as much as you would have
as
thought.
they're supposed to have, right? They should have.
Absolutely.
So you get a lot of that, but has to do also with, you know, the team's mentality, you know, the history. Like Liverpool, you know, you have the entire. There's so many histories, so many games. They're behind it, and you have Boca Juniors, you know, and then you have other teams. Then I go back to Colo-Colo because I watched Colo-Colo losing and Libertadores Cup with Pereira this week. And I was just, the signs were like, hey, you're supposed to play hard when you play with us. That's kind of the message. It's like, what's the stupid message is that? Like, you're not supposed to play hard. You're supposed to win when you are here. Not that you play hard. I don't care.
Just win.
To win. So when I saw the banner in there, I was like, there's something wrong with Chilean football now, because I'm not trying to win. It's to play hard. That's not enough. It's not enough for any team. So It's just so strong that it's so many teams that they have that to be in Real Madrid, you got to score. To be in America, it's the big teams. You don't like, to be honest, get just back to Mexico. Mexico, you have Coca coming in as a coach for 6 games, having an excellent percentage, 4 wins, 3 losses, and 3 ties, the other winning record, and he got fired after the 6th game. How do you explain that? I mean, how do you explain that? Because they lost to the U.S. Because they lost to the U.S. That's the only reason why Coca lost his job, even though he took Atlas to 2 consecutive wins after a 7-year drought.
No, I think that may have been. I don't. From what I understand, he plays a pretty conservative style, and that just didn't line up with how this group of.
But it's not a way to do it. I mean, I don't think it's a way. Because he's not Mexican. What does it matter if he's not Mexican? That's not an issue. I mean, I don't understand that argument. Because the nationality argument. Anyways,
I mean, you're preaching to the choir here, and trying to decipher what exactly the Mexican FA's thinking is at any point is a little tricky. Okay, but real quick, we got about 2 minutes left. Busquets, do you think this is a good signing? I know he's a legendary player, one of the best midfielders ever, but there's a history in this league, David, of older, talented midfielders not exactly panning out. I'm thinking of guys like Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, one of my favorite players, Andrea Pirlo. It didn't exactly go well for these guys in MLS. Do you fear that Busquets might be one of those types of players?
But you can also call it the Toronto syndrome, right?
That's
Jesus, because you got 2 the same players.
Now, those guys are a little younger though. Bernardeschi and Insigne are younger than.
That's right. But Berhalter lost it. Bradley lost his job.
U.S. coach.
Yeah. So that tells you a lot. They say hit and miss, right? When you have somebody at that age coming. But knowing Busquets and what he have done, he already played for Martino. He played with Messi. They know each other. I mean, they know what to do. I mean, I have no doubt that he can pull it off.
I'm going to be very interested to see, because obviously the talent between La Liga and MLS is vast. La Liga, better.
The difference, I can tell you though, is the city and the fans that will make the difference, because in the history of the world, Miami never really can rise up to the level of the MLS. I mean, it's up to the people, and I don't believe the fan support in Miami is there.
Wow. So Miami, not as good as Austin. Is that what you're saying?
No, not even close. Not even close. You see the stands. You see the stands. It's unorganized. It's like nobody's doing like.
Well, it wasn't Q2. That's for sure. But I do think the issue is it's not obviously the talent level between La Liga and MLS. La Liga, much better league, but I think that the physicality that it requires to succeed in MLS, when you consider the weather. I mean, you're talking about in La Liga, you're playing in the fall, winter, spring of Spain. You're playing in the dog days of summer. Miami, hot, humid, not going to be pleasant. And the travel that is required in MLS. I mean, the United States is massive. Spain.
But then you're lucky that you are in a place like Austin. If you're in the south of the United States, you're lucky because you're going to get used to being in 100-degree weather every day from all summer long. And then you're going to adapt in a week.
In the South.
You're going to adapt in a couple. I mean, you're going to get sick 1 week, but then you're going to get used to it. And then it's not going to be actually it's actually a good thing to come to Miami because it's going to be even hotter.
So you think he'll get used to it? Do you think he'll adapt?
That's what you do. Like when you have problem with altitude in Bolivia, you bring the team 2 weeks earlier and they get adapted to the altitude, or you bring it an hour earlier. You have two choices. So you have to play with that, but overall, you get adapted really quick, and I think it's great. But that's why Colombia always play in Barranquilla, because not many teams in South America are used to the heat and the humidity of Barranquilla, which is like Houston or Miami.
Okay, I mean that's one way of looking at it. I am going to be skeptical that Busquets will work out at Inter Miami. Messi, I think, will be fine. Busquets, not so sure about. Okay, David, so great to have you back. Just wonderful. And hopefully next week we can get the band back together, all three of us. But yeah, we want to thank our fans, thank Club Deportes, thank Jerry Lopez, as always, behind the boards. We're going to do this again next week. Appreciate it.
Adios.